Thanks for coming by.
What up, everybody? It's Angel Dust.
I love it. It's very mysterious, very creepy. I
Yes,
mean, do you make love with the mask on as well?
I've been known to make love with masks on.
Okay. Okay, that's hot. That's hot. We're into that. I am
yeah.
curious. I love the sound, like glam metal, modern, edgy. Is there, because there's five members, is that why it's five-headed, or is there any correlation?
Yeah, so it's called Five Headed Cobra predominantly because it's a five-piece band. I've always been inclined to do five-piece bands. But then the actual Cobra is based on an ancient Sanskrit diagram, which has been used by a lot of different organizations. It was used by the SLA, the Symbionese Liberation Army. These were the people that kidnapped Patty Hearst and forced her to commit bank robberies. The symbol was associated with Turbo Negro for one record, one of my favorite bands. And so I took two heads off of the snake and made it a five-headed cobra because we're nowhere near as dangerous as the Symbionese Liberation Army, and we're knuckleheads. So we don't get seven heads; we get five. So,
That makes sense in five knuckles. And then I know there's a relation to Hinduism. Is that
yeah.
something you practice at all, or interested in, or just
So
random?
that's a great question. So I'm a member of many high orders of what people would call spiritualist movements. I can mention a couple of them, but I can't mention one of them. But so I'm a member of the Bohemian Grove, which is the Bohemian Club. You get access to the Grove being a member of the Bohemian Club. I'm from a very old royal line. I can't say the name of the family out of respect, but essentially what you have is somebody who has had access to ancient spiritual knowledge given to me in a ceremonial way with many rites and many rituals. It was how I created the logo of the band. We call it the pipe hitter or the death head. So that was
Yeah.
designed with Johnny Royal of the Masons. He's a Scottish Rite Master Freemason. He is the head of the lodge in Santa Monica and a Crooked Path Warlock. So he's been involved in kind of creating the power around the imagery. Were you able to see the five-headed cobra image?
Yes, the image. I was gonna say, unfortunately, I couldn't see you guys live because we're just gonna say there
Yeah,
was a mishap, but
yeah.
Wait, so are we talking like lizard people in Scientology? How deep are we
No,
going?
so lizard people don't exist.
I'm
That's
fascinated though by the conspiracy theories about it.
yeah, that's a psyop. So I'll back it up a little bit. So
Yeah,
my father died recently.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. We were very close towards the end of his life. I was put in a position. He was an admiral in the United States Navy, very high up, an operator, as they would call these guys. They work directly with the Pentagon. So I was raised in a lot of affluence and with a lot of opportunity. And my mother, who is the royal line, is actually fucking crazy. And I love her to death. She's still alive. I'm doing my best to be there for her during the difficult time of a spouse passing. But she always wanted me to be creative. She always wanted me to be a rock star. She raised me with the stories of her life. She dated Keith Richards for years. She's very very proud of the fact that she was a Sunset Strip girl. Very very young in the 70s through the 80s to the death of rock and roll with the birth of grunge, right? And
Yeah.
so she raised me telling me that I was going to bring rock and roll back. She raised me telling me insane stories of spirits, Boleskine House, Aleister Crowley, her experiences at Boleskine House with obviously she was too young to meet Crowley, but with obviously the Led Zeppelin guys and primarily the famous guitar player and the rituals that he would practice in this house, and she was a part of some of those rituals. And so I was raised with two sides of this reality, the kind of like you're going to be an Eagle Scout, You're going to be an ROTC. You're going to join the Freemasons. You're going to become a Master Mason. During all this, you're going to go through the Scottish Rite. You're going to get into Annapolis Military School. You're going to join the military, the Navy as an officer. This was my dad's path, right? And my
Yeah.
mom's path was, you're going to be a rock and roll star. Voice lessons, piano lessons, guitar lessons. And while I was growing up, my dad was kind of just laughing at my mom because he loved her to death, right? And he loved her craziness and he loved who she was. But he was the straight man and she was the party animal. And she won because why would I, I think I got through the Boy Scouts and then I joined the Weebelows and I was like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be a rock and roller. And so at one point, that life overtook me to the degree to where I was arrested many times. I was eventually shipped off to Europe to go to what they call international school, which is international private schools, where I went to Barcelona, Spain. Obviously, that turned into a lot of partying.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think my
love
parents really
Barcelona.
understood Barcelona. And then that just kicked off into a career in music. And I've had all these amazing opportunities throughout my life. And I did have a very successful publishing career, band career. I always had a major label deal. But at one point, I started wanting to tell the truth about what I knew and what I was raised in.
Yeah.
Um, I would sit at the Sportsman's Lodge with shadow presidents and my mom
Wow.
getting drunk and my dad holding court with shadow presidents and super fucking high up the chain people, where I would hear them talk about like who they were going after next, whether it was the blacks or the browns, who were they going to, subjugate, and like all these crazy conversations. And I remember asking my mom later on, like, mom, and what? Well, they were talking about the blacks and the browns. What were they talking about? And I kind of had an inkling that I knew what they were saying. And my mom said, oh, well, they play softball, honey, which they did. They had softball teams. And she was like, the blacks, they're the blacks and they wear black shirts, and the other guys are the browns and they wear the brown shirts. And I was, from
Like a
my
good
young
cover
age, that
up.
was like understandable. And like, okay. But as I grew up, I started realizing that there was way more to all the stories and all the things and all the lore. So from my mom's side, I got all of this kind of magical knowledge. And then I met somebody very influential in Barcelona who was a Hermetic magician, a master of the Golden Dawn and all of these different orders. And so he brought me along on that path. But then I always had my father, who was kind of like the ballast in my life, the
Yeah.
person that kept me from going too far off the path. And so when I started Five Headed Cobra was going to tell the truth of what I knew through music and art.
Oh,
And
okay.
I wasn't hell bent on not showing my face because I hadn't put myself at real risk yet. But then my father got sick with leukemia, and I was the one that they started bringing along to take care of the family business because my brother was clearly not interested. My
Yeah.
mother's line comes through Switzerland into Austria, and then eventually through the Holy Roman Empire into Aragon, Spain, and all parts of Europe. But her direct line is Aragon, and so we have like a 15th century Palazzo in Granada. That's the south of Spain. She's looking for a castle now. I go to Spain probably, twice a year minimum to see friends and family. So we're very rooted in Spain. And that leads to records done in, songs being recorded in Spanish. That's part of the plan that we have, was to record some of the songs in Spanish, to record material in Latin, to tell the truth of what I
This
knew.
is so fascinating because
Yeah.
you're on a higher level, but I grew up, my mom came from money and she's batshit crazy. And my grandfather's a high up judge. And so we were going to DC a lot, and
Yeah.
then he joined Congress. So I'm an only child and only grandchild at all of these, well to do parties in Congress. And I'm the only grandchild that was supposed to take over the law firm. And I didn't. I went into radio and said, fuck you guys, I'm a
You went
black
into the
sheep,
arts. Yeah,
Is that
very,
I'm
very,
such an
very
artsy person.
similar path of construct in both of our lives. And when
Yeah.
people say like, "What's the Illuminati?" I explain it's not lizard people. It's not, we're not eating babies like at the Bohemian Grove. My father got me into all the basically all the secret societies on Nob Hill. There's one that I can't go to, um, which I'm not going to mention because I don't want to start
Yeah.
any beef. But
That's
it's
fascinating.
you can't be in one if you're in the other. But I'm basically I welcome in all of them except for that one, which was started by a newspaper maven. That's all I'm going to say. So
Very
that
rock
is
and
the
roll.
Illuminati. So you are descendant of the Illuminati, of the illuminated. The Illuminati are people who control the world and make decisions out of the ability for democracy to, out of the function of democracy. That is the
Yeah.
Illuminati.
You need
And
an entire podcast. I'm sorry. I would listen to your podcast like every week. That's just what I want to say. Like,
yeah, so I tell a truth that I know every day. I've been committed to it for about a year. And this was always my path. I didn't know it was going to be talking like this because I didn't know my dad was going to die, and we thought he had more time. And when my dad died, the wheels kind of fell off, and I started saying things on Instagram. And my Instagram is at five-headed angel. So five-headed angel, all spelled out, no numerals. So at five-headed angel, I tell what I know every day, and I talk about what I know. The original intention was to have it all come out through art and music, but it became a truth-telling session. Like, and I'll sit there and I'll go, "It's a psyop. We created the lizard people psyop to scare the fuck out of you and control you. Adrenochrome is a psyop. We're not eating babies. That is to scare you. If we're
yeah.
lizard people, if you think that we're lizard people and that we're eating your babies, you lose all hope to stand up against us. In reality, all we are is a bunch of rich asshole white people who want to fucking
Yeah.
control you. That's who we
Yeah, which
are."
I love. That's my vibe. That's my people. To be I like to do drugs in Malibu with rich assholes. That was and I was a little groupie like your mom in the early 2000s on the Sunset Strip, so I vibe
That's
with her
rad.
hardcore. Yeah. Yeah. I ended up
That's
going on tour
rad.
with Slipknot for a while. It was a fun time. Got out alive, but I love LA. It's like a love-hate. I'm back in Sacramento. It's a
Oh,
love-hate
nice.
relationship. I want to visit it. I don't know if I can live in the madness because it's too much fun and I don't have to work. So I have too much
Yep.
time on my hands, which is not good for somebody that is social.
You have to make the parameters of your life safe for what you want to accomplish. And unfortunately, with I had to get sober. With drugs and alcohol, I wasn't accomplishing anything. I had all these big dreams to like tell what I knew and like through
Yeah.
art, but I wasn't doing anything. And when my dad got sick, it was really clear that I had to get sober or I wasn't going to work for the family business. I wasn't going to inherit jack shit because I was living as a drug addict. I was functional and I was,
Yeah.
doing okay in the music business, like on the publishing side. But, I'll give you an example of like how bad my drinking and using got. I got to the point to where I was signed to Sony Japan, Sony International. I was at the biggest festival in Japan. I was playing to 20,000 people who knew the songs I was singing. I was in a band with a famous Japanese. I can't give you too much information because then you'll find out who I am.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the lyrics because I'm strung out on Xanax, and I'm strung out on Xanax because I'm strung out on Coke.
Yeah. I've been there. I mean, I haven't gotten sober yet, but I've definitely done a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking, and I've seen it negatively impact my life just
Yeah,
recently. And so, but I'm curious. I'm sober
you're
curious, or like
sober
I could probably
curious. I
just
love
smoke
that.
weed. Like I could do the California sober
Yeah.
maybe, but I'm not there yet because the voices in my head. Sometimes I like to drown them out, so I'm not ready. Wait, so I want to talk about too real quick. I saw you had a cassette. Is this a real like there
Yeah.
was an actual 6-song cassette tape that do people still have cassette players? What was this?
So we had such a bad experience with Spotify. We put our first single out. It legit went bananas. It was at 16,000 plays in 2 days, and Spotify took it down and sent us an email that said, "We know you're juicing your numbers. We need to know who you're hiring, and if you
What?
want your music back up, you're going to have to tell us who you hired. We need their names, and you're going to have to pay $1 a song, no, $10 a song to get your music back up there. We were like, we did like an internal investigation, and we were all like, dude, that was like totally real. Like nobody
Yeah.
juiced anything. And then a Variety article came out where they were outing Spotify for doing this to indie artists. And it basically said Spotify is doing this to hundreds of thousands of indie bands, the ones that they can do it to. And it's a capital raise from the indie artists because they know that like 90% of them are going to put their music back up for $10 a song, and they're going to make shit tons of money. And then we found out what they were raising the money for. Get this. This is crazy, dude. Wartime, AI-driven drone technology for war zones to kill people autonomously. This is Daniel
Holy
X.
shit.
Yes.
I had no clue. And like, how crazy. That's your real numbers. There's real fans listening to your song and playing it. And now they want to somehow come after you for money when you're bringing people to their site.
Yeah, it was crazy. So then that came out, and this is all like happening in real time. Massive Attack just splits, one of my favorite bands. King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard split. When that came out that he was creating this wartime like autonomous murder machine, everybody quit. Bands that I respected, to say everybody quit is unfair. People that I respected started leaving the platform. So we were like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to do real products. So we did the run of hand numbered blood red cassettes with, white labels, super fucking cool. I numbered every cassette. And then now
cool.
We're dropping on October 31st. Well, first we're dropping blood red vinyl, matte vinyl, super beautiful, incredible insert. I'll follow you, and I'll like tag you on some shit.
Yeah, and I want to follow the private page, or that, your individual page that you have, and have the truth serum kind of come out with my morning coffee and whiskey. I want to know what the hell's going on.
I think you'd love it, dude. I really do.
Yeah. No. Okay, I have random questions for you. Can I ask them?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite 80s hair glam band?
That's a great question, man. I consider Guns N' Roses a hair band because they came out of that scene. They did it better and grittier than anybody else. And Axl Rose was the penultimate rock star and created an archetype that I don't think we understand to this day. Kids coming in are like, oh yeah, the Mickey Mouse voice guy. It's like, no, that guy had a 6-octave range. He was an assassin. And I hope that he gets back to that. I know there's ways to get back to that vocally. I hope that he does. But for me, Guns N' Roses was the penultimate hair band. People don't know, but when he came out, he wore the big crazy. They all wore the big crazy glam hair. He started slicking it down and wearing the kerchief around his head to make more of a rat kind of, slut rat, fucking sewer rat kind of vibe. But they were a hair metal band, dude. They were.
No, I agree. They're in that category. I love Dizzy Reed's come by my show a lot. He's a nice guy.
Love
all
Dizzy.
the
He's an amazing dude. Super fucking cool dude.
I love Hookers and Blow. I like all the LA projects that he's involved in.
Shout out to Howard and Harry.
Yes, happening here. Oh, it's been like 10 years since I left LA, but I forgot about Happening Harry. That's funny.
I saw him last night. He's doing really good. He's had a couple of health battles, but he's doing really good. I'll tell him he said hi.
I wonder if we've been at a party and we were just so fucked up we didn't know. And I had bleached blonde hair back in the day, so that's funny. I bet we ran in some circles.
For sure.
Okay, if you had to pick between the Roxy and the Viper Room, what would you pick?
I'd pick the Viper Room because the Viper Room's got a history of being super, super haunted. Yeah. And it's haunted with it's kind of a hallowed place. If you would have said the whiskey, I would have said the whiskey because Jim Morrison haunts the whiskey. But River Phoenix haunts the Viper Room. The Viper Room is actually going to get shut down and turned into a hotel. It was Filthy McNasty's for years. It was a mob hangout. Yeah. Then it became like not an illuminated. It was like an illuminated hangout. I would say it was that. Johnny Depp was very high up. If it
changes into a hotel, Tommy Black better be the manager of the
hotel.
Tommy
is a really good friend of mine. And
me too.
Tommy's a
That's
really
right.
great guy, and
Yeah.
Tommy, I'll just say this. I used to do rails off of the bar after they were closed, and Tommy would get very
I
upset.
used to do blow with Tommy all the time. And and he was so generous. It was always free. I'd grab a drink, I'd do a bump behind the bar real quick, and then I'd watch the band. And he's just such a sweet guy.
Tommy would
Such
get
a
very mad at me because I would just ace him out on the fucking bar, and he'd be like, "There's cameras now, dude. Fuck."
I want him by the podcast to because he has so many stories with so many awesome musicians, and
He's an
he won't
amazing
come
dude.
by because he's scared of what he'll say and like how many stories we have. And I'm like,
He does not
I
want to
know not
tell.
to bring up. Yeah, I know like that I don't bring up a lot of stories. Like I ask the person, is that okay? But he's
Yeah.
okay with me joking about us like doing drugs and stuff. But man, he has got some really awesome stories. Like it's crazy.
He's got tragic stories, awesome
Yeah,
stories. I had breakfast with him after the passing of one of the greats,
of Scott.
and yeah, I didn't want to say
Yeah.
that, but he did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I know
we
that affected
lost.
him really, really
Oh
hard, you
yeah,
know?
he
Yeah.
was there. I mean, it tore him up. And when I started talking to him about the darkness, the darkness versus the light and stuff, you could see like being in a haunted location like that. I don't know if you ever watched the Zach Bagans interview with him.
Yeah.
It was amazing. There's a whole episode on Ghost Adventures about the Viper Room, and Tommy's the fucking guy. And I know that place has affected him psychically. I know it has, and I know that he's like a little bit of PTSD about being in that place all the time because it's very dark energy.
Yeah. He's loopy. I like it. Wait, I want to know too, was Screaming from the Mountains shot in the whiskey?
Yeah, so screaming
Okay.
from the mountain was shot at the whiskey. We have deep connections there. We've sold that place out twice. We'll play a show and sell it out, and that's what's crazy about this band. And we really don't play that often. We're going to do private shows this year after Aftershock. We realized that it's just see, I'm a businessman,
Yeah.
and like I love Aftershock, and I'll do Aftershock every year if they'll have me. But it's financially, we had to pay more money than we got to play it, which
That's
is
like every
we
band.
get
They
it.
just kind of want to
It's
be
fine.
seen on stage. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you're like paying to play a little bit for the
But
notoriety.
as a business person, primarily in my life, who runs 13 LLCs and S corps for my family's businesses, I that's not good business. And so we're going to do
Yes.
private events. We're going to high ticket private events with rituals and rites and learning and really cool stuff.
I love it. Well, Angel, I could do so much more time with you. Unfortunately, I have a band coming by in 2 minutes. I want to have you back on the podcast sometime
I
because I
love your
bet
vibe, dude.
me too. I bet we could talk for like an hour and we know a lot of
Let's
the same
fucking
people.
do
This
it.
is such a cool surprise. So I want to have you back on. I want to also follow your page, but thank you so much for stopping by Stefs Rock Show.
Thank you so much. Five-headed Cobra, all spelled out. Five-headed Angel is me, all spelled out. And the album, well, it's an EP. It drops on October 31st. But if you want to see something early, we're doing really fun early packages for rad people.